Hi, everyone. This is Jackie Cooper, and we're with the Crypto Blockchain DeFi Conversation Cruise. We have many participants who are joining us on this cruise, both in person as well as virtually. And today I am talking to Patrina Pelton Smith. She is actually heading to the cruise. This is our pre-cruise conference and chat. And then on the cruise itself, we are going to have many conversations as well as afterwards. So, Patrina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm looking so forward to this cruise. I think it just hit me around Tuesday that I was going out of country. And so I was like, duh. There are just some things that, the year has flown by. And then arriving at this point in November, I'm like, oh my God, it's finally here. So I'm excited. And so thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about the cruise too. And what's nice about this type of unusual conference is that we're able to collect individuals who have a variety of backgrounds and who are doing things in our space and contribute to the conversation. I know that you and I do our BLI lives, and we're also doing a lot of other projects together. But for those that might be new to learning more about you, how did you actually, what's your background? How did you step into the blockchain cryptocurrency space, DeFi, as the cruise is all about? How did you get involved in this conversation? Because again, we all come from different paths, and
Mhm.
then how we apply it also is different. So,
Exactly.
why don't you share a little bit? Because I know that what you're doing is really important in our community.
So I am a consultant that started out working primarily with nonprofits, and then because of the pandemic, began working with also for-profits. But a lot of what this work will be about in the conversation will be around nonprofit fundraising because there are nonprofit entities that are taking advantage of using technology and tools to help them grow. And so I especially like to see organizations that are underserved, under resourced, and serving in communities that are usually underserved and under resourced, no matter what that community may look like. So oftentimes they are BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color organizations. I've worked across the different areas, so it doesn't really matter. But I have a heart for those organizations that are still trying to build out their structure and go after resources that will help them serve their communities. So that's how I arrived here. I've been in the space now, nonprofits overall, about 27 years, and in the arena working with cryptocurrency and AI since 2022. And so I really have gotten an interest in it both personally and professionally because I want to see other organizations really benefit from it. There are large nonprofits out there that are collecting billions of dollars in currency. And as we see now, crypto is through the roof. It has blown up in the last 2 weeks. And so we really want them to understand and say, okay, this is a space where we can jump in and do so safely, because usually that's the concern is how can we do this safely? We don't want to be scammed. We want to have some education and knowledge around it. And so we're building out resources that will really help them be able to take advantage of that.
So, you talked about the rise of value of cryptocurrency. I want you just to address that a little bit because, again, like other digital assets, it can go up and down. What's your thoughts about how you're going to like consult with individuals or businesses about that?
So I will be frank, most of my organizations, particularly if they're BIPOC, are going to be very conservative. And so in their minds, they're like, well, we don't necessarily want to hold the crypto, which I think is advantageous to them. It's just like if we had to compare it to something, it would be stocks. So I ran an organization that we had stock and we just let it sit and ride out the tide until it came to a time where we needed to sell it. And so we made that move and then we took it in cash. But I'm gonna be frank, most of these organizations that would be working with probably looking to collect this in fiat, or collect it and then immediately sell it so that they would have the cash that they need to operate. So, those would be the options that I would present to them, giving them the option to obviously have a wallet, whatever that wallet may be, and or then sell it and have it in fiat, or use an organization that will immediately collect it, sell it, and then disperse it to them in fiat.
So, how have you personally integrated cryptocurrency into your own life?
So, interestingly enough, I've done it in a couple of different ways. The traditional way, I have Bitcoin. I have mined in the past using a mining company. Still need to work that out. That's a whole different story, y'all. But then the other thing is that I joined a business group. It's also a Black business group last year, and they developed their own cryptocurrency. And so it's called RNC. The organization is called Rhinos Nation. And so I literally have quite a bit. And we use it to, exchange for services. So I have several clients that have paid in RNC, and so it's just been really awesome to understand cryptocurrency in general, and then how it can be beneficial across many different platforms, whether it's the traditional, more well known Bitcoin, or whether you're working with a company that has its own private RNC. And so it's been really beneficial. The next thing will be is accepting it in general. And so integrating that into the website and the platforms will probably occur next year.
So I know that you assisted the Blockchain Legal Institute's Foundation charity with the accepting onto the platform. Do you want to talk anything about how you help the nonprofits look at what platforms to use or decide to use?
Yes. So there are so many different platforms out there, and some have some eligibility requirements. Others, it's just a matter of setting up your wallet and beginning to accept cryptocurrency. So we help you look at which direction you want to go and put in your infrastructure for it, because you have to have in place in your policies and procedures before you start this whole process of accepting it. You have to understand what it is that you're going to do and how you're going to accept it, and what you will accept and when you'll accept it. So all of that has to be integrated into your process before you even begin to go out and market that you accept it. And so those are things that we will help you address before you start the marketing campaign, to begin accepting it. Now, here's the problem. It is the end of the year, and literally one of the biggest days in this space is happening on December the 3rd. So, for those who are going to see this and you're like, oh, I'm going to miss the biggest day of giving. Yeah, but guess what? You get to then be ready for 2025 and have your marketing campaign ready to go for your annual giving day. So it's called Crypto Giving Tuesday, in alignment with Giving Tuesday. And so $2 million was given in this space in last year. In previous years, it was just $1 million. It jumped exponentially between 22 and 23. I just think that you should be in this space to be able to accept some of that cryptocurrency. They're looking for you. If you're ready to accept it, then you can receive it. So that's the key piece, making you ready to accept it.
Yeah, and the thing is that no matter what day of the year you step into the space, you at least are part of the space. And I know that we were the Blockchain Legal Institute Foundation. We incorporated, at the beginning of the year, but it took us a while to figure out how to
Mhm.
incorporate it into our platform. So again, now is the time to do that. What other? I know that we're going to be talking on the cruise about a lot of different topics, from women in technology
Mhm.
to decentralized applications. But what other things do you think are important for the community that you're serving?
So I think that looking at it overall, and addressing the lack of education. So let's start there. Let's talk about the lack of education in this space for individuals, not just in, I guess, nonprofits, small businesses as well, and just the general community, especially for us of color. I'm just going to put it out there. we oftentimes know nothing about cryptocurrency, and we have this fear of what we don't understand, obviously. And so education around that piece of it, and then once it is education, then looking at the tools. So not just, the cryptocurrency, but also the artificial intelligence tools that are out there that can help make your world easier, better, faster. And again, not being afraid of it. We are late adopters overall as a community and the culture. And so helping them to understand, you know what, yes, you don't necessarily want to jump in, but you do want to make sure that you understand and can effectively decide what you're going to use. So I really think that having these conversations, having a face like mine that is of color, a woman of color, will be helpful so that people can say, oh, you know what, maybe there is something to this. I actually had a client who, when I was telling her I was going on the cruise to speak about this, she said, wait a moment. She's like, you're like really serious about this, aren't you? And I was like, yes, because there's value here for you. And she said, when you come back, she said, let's schedule a time to have this conversation again. And she's like, because you know what? I heard different things, and people were saying, no, leave it alone. And so we didn't move forward. And she's like, but you're really serious. And I said, I am. So when I come back, we'll have that conversation, and talk about how she can accept, cryptocurrency and also incorporate other tools in the nonprofit that will help them be beneficial for them.
It's about step by step, researching, feeling
Mhm.
comfortable, knowing the risk, knowing
Mhm.
the rewards.
Yeah,
You and I co-wrote a book together,
yeah,
so again, it's providing just a topic and the ability for people to kind of do that next step. Um,
absolutely.
one of the things that I don't want us to forget to talk about, especially when we're on the cruise, we're going to be talking about women in technology. I want us to look at the backgrounds of these women in technology to see, where did they come from and how did they get the education that they needed in order to step into this field, because the blockchain has been around for over 30 years. So,
Yes.
individuals, just like, during World War II, there were a lot of women involved
Mhm.
in tech that were behind the scenes and not always acknowledged until later when the movies came out.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of women who are in this technology as well that we need to acknowledge and use them as role models and examples for others to say, okay, we can do this and this
Absolutely.
can be applied.
Absolutely. And, I think that's important too because it normalizes it. It,
Hmm.
it says, these women took the step ahead. And so now we recognize we can use their knowledge, their resources, their skill, their history, experience, and take it into a level that we can incorporate. And so I think that's just key because whenever you see someone that looks like you, that has similar experiences, then you're more likely to adopt, that information and apply it in your own life. So I think that's the key here. I think seeing more faces in this space that look like people, that you're connected to will help them also say, okay, this is okay. If they're doing it, then I can do it too.
I do want to make a caveat, though.
Mhm,
It's not just about what our backgrounds are.
mhm.
We still have to do the due diligence and research, just
Absolutely.
because even if someone is within a certain community, you have to make sure that what they're doing is ethical. And
So true.
we know of situations,
Uh-huh.
across the board where you have a trust for a person, but you actually still have to do your own due diligence.
Absolutely. Because you just never know. And again, what they're doing may not be a good fit for you or
Mhm,
your organization. So you have to make sure that you understand it. That's where the education comes in, so that
mhm.
you can make good decisions. And like you say, due diligence, because unfortunately, um, scammers are everywhere. It only takes a second these days. Unfortunately, I've had a friend that was recently impacted, and she thought she was just doing a favor for another friend, and unfortunately lost, a lot of money behind it. So yes, by all means, due diligence. Make sure you do your research, you understand the basics of it, and then you decide the direction you want to go and apply it for you and your organization. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, the other thing that I know you and I both understand, blockchain is simply a technology that can be the underlier for information sharing.
Absolutely.
Cryptocurrency is different. It does have a blockchain,
Hmm.
but that business use application blockchain might be different than actually on the cryptocurrency side.
Absolutely.
So when nonprofits look at blockchain, they need to also separate out the two areas because
Hmm.
you can actually use a blockchain technology for the information, the identity. There's a lot of other business applications that's separate from actually accepting crypto that might be donated to you. So,
Absolutely.
and I know for those that are listening, Patrina is very comfortable with these conversations and providing the resources on either side, and that's why we're doing this cruise because there's so much that's changing both in the decentralized finance area as
Hmm.
well as the technology area, the real world asset area. I mean, it's really there's a lot of different communities from South America to Africa to India to Asia, to, you name it.
Yes.
Um, so many people are doing things, and some are doing the same thing. Some of them are
Yes.
doing different things, and you have to kind of find out what will work for you
Mhm.
for your business. I know you're sort of under a little bit of a time crunch. Any last minute thoughts that you have? Because we are going to be doing a lot of other recordings on the cruise where there won't be the meetings that will
Good
be
time.
happening.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But what last minute thoughts do you have for this pre-cruise conversation?
Just open your mind. Not only listen to me in this space, but listen to all the other experts. There are tons of experts, even with deeper knowledge than me, because they have been living in this space. I've been here, like I said, 2 years, and they've been here almost the entire time. And so just listening to those other voices and opening your mind to how you can apply it in your own personal life and in your business, your nonprofit, is going to be crucial for this. So I'm just thrilled to come aboard and share my knowledge and information and also learn from others who are going to be on this cruise with me as well so that, we can come back and share it with the world.
Yeah, and talking about sharing it, it's not just the recordings that we're going to be sharing. We're
Mhm.
actually publishing an ebook
Yes.
that will come out in January, February, and there'll be articles for contributed by a number of people within the space on different applications. And so, some of those individuals that might not be able to be in attendance on the cruise, but they actually are part of the community conversation. So definitely for those that are listening, go visit, www.bli.tools or the Maryland Blockchain Association as well, because the link to the ebook will be there, and that way you can access this information to help know who to call or who to connect with. So, Patrina, I appreciate what you're doing for the community, and I can't wait to actually. You're landing tomorrow. I can't wait to see you, and I know have us kind of continue this conversation on the cruise. And also, what's going to be very fun is we're going to be interviewing people on the cruise ship to see what their knowledge base is of Bitcoin and
Oh, that's
cryptocurrency
going to be
and
interesting.
NFTs and digital
Okay.
assets. So it will be an interesting conversation because
Yes.
it will be definitely a diverse community, and
Yes.
it'll be interesting to see what both insightful as well as crazy comments we hear.
Right. It is going to be interesting. So, absolutely. So, all right.
All
So,
right.
until then,
Thank you, everyone. Definitely continue on to the next conversation, and we will talk to you soon.